Welcome to the Incubate podcast, where we feature ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Incubate podcast, telling the Eswatini story online. My name is Charlton. So today we are excited to be right here at the Eswatini Theatre Club, and I am speaking to an amazing guy. I always talk to amazing people. And today I'm here with Mr. Mukhonta, who is the CEO of the Eswatini Business Expo and is also one of the guys who are running things right here at the theatre club. I'm an artist myself, and whenever I come into artistic spaces, I'm totally excited about it. And today is definitely no exception. Mr. Mukhonta, I'm excited to be inviting you to the podcast. Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you.
I'm excited. Thank you so much. And it has taken us a beautiful while to actually pin you down because I know the Expo is going to be coming soon. You've been very busy. You've been running around, but you're also quite excited to be sharing your story with us as well. And it is really a great privilege. We're moving around talking to so many people in the country who are doing all sorts of incredible things in the economy, sport, and all of that. And so as we come into have a discussion around the creative economy, I find it exciting that this is year number 2 of the Eswatini Business Expo, right? Could you please tell me a little bit more about this expo? What is it trying to do?
Yeah, the expo was inspired by the absence of business during the COVID period, because most artists had their works kept at home. They couldn't sell them. The movement was not there at the time. So when the regulations were relaxed, we decided to organize this expo so that people can put plates on their tables to eat, because they've been keeping their wares in their homes. They couldn't sell them. So we came together, organized this expo, and it was very successful at the time. And we also invited the University of Botswana at the time, and I'm happy to say they responded very well. And they were here for the whole 7 days, was advanced for 7 days. And a lot of local artists as well supported the expo. We had Bolocha during the launch at the time. Bolocha is a known artist in the country. And the response was beautiful. Even the ministry, especially Minister of Commerce, Senko, supported us a lot. And yeah, that's it.
Wow, so this is a platform essentially largely for the creative economy, for the creative entrepreneurs. Are there any specific highlights? Who do you remember the most from the creative entrepreneurs that you brought the last time? Were there any one from outside Mbabane, from outside the main city centers or main urban areas who came in? What are some of your memories of the last time?
Oh, actually the highlights, not mainly the creative artists. It was the appreciation shown by the women and men who came with their wares, showcased the appreciation they showed and encouraged me to do it again this year. I'm doing it, and it was very, very exciting. The local artists and poets came to support us here. I can name a few Sense. Everyone knows Sense. Bolocha was here. And artists from South Africa, there was Kali, a bass guitarist who is based in Pretoria. He came to support us as well. Who else? There's some guys from Nelspruit. They're called, I forget the name of the band. They were here. It was really beautiful.
Wow.
It was very nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you're looking at the role of the creative economy itself in the broader economy, I know this is one of the things that you're very passionate about. Do you feel that the arts, culture, heritage sector in the country, is it meaningfully contributing to the economy? of Eswatini, and if not, where could some of the gaps be? Because I know once you start speaking, let's say about mining, about the finance sector, you can quantify the contribution that the sectors are making to the broader economy. What would be your comment about the creative? Do we really know what is contributing, or where have been some of the gaps?
It's sad, really. It's sad. I don't think we know, or I don't think we even appreciate what artists bring into the economy, or we don't have a measure. We don't know how to measure it. That is why I would say the arts industry it's neglected in a way. Artists here fend for themselves. The little support they get from government is not enough. Not only from government, artists will get support from other businesses.
Yeah, from private sector.
From private sector, from individuals even. That's why I'm in this space. I help a lot of artists find themselves. Some of them have not been on stage, but they have things that their poems in their phones, their music on their phones. So I give them a stage. I ask them to perform here for free. Some of them get on stage for the first time. Anyway, about the economy thing, I think we should, our government should measure or find a way to measure the contribution that arts make in our economy, because there's a lot.
There is a lot, yeah.
Because a lot of things, of course, like for instance, if I talk about music, there's lighting, there's engineering, there is people who are marketing the music. That contributes a lot to the economy. There's a lot that they contribute. And the career in music is not just the singing. There's a lot of other things involved in there. So I would encourage parents to not to, parents think music is just for leisure. Music now is commercial. Music now, it's even fine arts, not necessarily music, even fine arts. Some do collage, some do some visuals, like what we write now. This is a skill that when you acquire it, you can associate. Maybe someone can ask you to do the same thing you're doing here, maybe in South Africa, in Europe. That brings a lot of money to the country.
Yeah. So what's critical is to appreciate that there's a whole value chain around the creative industry.
Exactly.
There is the artists you see on stage, but behind the scenes there are people who are working there to make sure this guy is on stage.
Yes.
There are folks who are working on lights. There are folks who are working on directing the filming and all of that. So if you're going to be adding all these small components, then you actually have a sizable chunk
economic contribution
in terms of the big contribution.
Yes.
I absolutely agree. And I mean, look, when it's not just here in Eswatini. If you also move around Africa, that same question is also there as well. To say, how do we get to meaningfully quantify the contribution of the arts as an industry to the economy? And I think the important aspect you raise around value chains, I think is one of the easiest ways for, it could be economists, for example, to be able to get in and properly understand. That is very, very key. You speak very passionately about various forms of art. I know you've been in this space for a while. I want to hear just a little bit about your own journey. Where did your appreciation of the arts start? At what point did you decide, I want to start supporting young people, I want to start giving spaces to young people? You know, as you mentioned, that at times you're giving artists an opportunity to be on stage for the very first time. How has been your journey? At what point did you decide, look, I need to start working with artists, I need to start enabling or supporting artists? Do you still...
Yeah, I've always worked with artists. I'm a librarian by profession.
Wow.
By the way.
Wow.
I used to have exhibitions at the library. A lot of artists used to display their art there. And I used to really admire them. Most of them were foreign though. They're not local artists. So I used to encourage local artists to come and exhibit at the library. It was an exhibition center there. was really underutilized by local people. And I felt sad for myself because I'm an artist at heart, but I never got the opportunity because we were denied opportunities. I'm not very young.
Yeah.
Also, those days,
You're young at heart.
yeah, those days, when you talk about art, they thought you were crazy, or you were maybe darker smoker, or you were something like that. They didn't like. My parents didn't. My parents appreciated what I did artistically, but they didn't want me to venture into it. And locally, there was no support structure for artists. So when I see young people trying to do something that I really love myself, I thought, let me just help them. As much as I did not get the help that I needed at the time. Now that I'm here and I can do it, I can help them, let me just help them achieve their goals.
Wow. I usually like putting faces to some of these stories. I'm just, at a point, let's say, when you're feeling so discouraged, are there one or two artists that you think about that you started with way back, and then that just inspires you to say, no, if I could do so much for one or two of these artists, we could even do more? Do you recall any one or two artists that you feel they've had an impact in their lives, and you think you can do a little bit more?
Yeah, I can name a few. There's Lux, who does hip hop. There's Jared, Tuni or something, who does. That actually is a very good story. He does visual art with waste. He collects waste and turns it into art. That is something I like a lot.
Wow.
Beautiful pieces.
That is amazing.
And
that is amazing.
Another guy called Looms, he also does hip hop. And a lot of other guys.
Wow.
Some of them I don't even remember. Some of them in South Africa now doing very well actually.
What though would be your comment around all this talent and talent management itself? What's sort of like the status of, because one of the main failures of artists is not because they're not talented, but at times it's simply because they're very poorly managed. What's your view around talent management in the country? I've seen a couple of these artists still come back to you for advice. And do you ever get to manage any of the artists, or do you even have time? Or what's your view really around artist management in the country?
I'd say really not at the level where it should be. Most people are self-absorbed. They want to own the artist. You can own an artist. Just let the artist be. Just manage their affairs behind the scenes. Most people want to even, I don't know, like the artist belong to them. I've never managed an artist. I just give them space to express themselves. That's what I do. I don't want anything on the ten as well, because it fulfills me, the fact that now they are doing what they like, and it makes me, it is basically their reward. Once they're successful and they do what they want to do, it makes me feel good.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, it's. I mean, there are huge conversations that are also going on in other African countries around artist management itself. We, in many of our countries, have such poor levels of artist management, as you rightly also are confirming. Managers think it's their job to own the artist. They want to control the artist's life, and one of the things you just do not want to do in this life is to try and own or contain an artist. They'll just rebel and it never gets anywhere. So
and it's a skill.
It's a skill as well.
It's a skill. You need to learn how to manage.
Yeah.
Most of these managers, they never manage anything.
Yeah. They can't even manage their own lives.
Yeah, they think they can manage artists. They don't even know, because then you have to go to school for that. You have to learn how to manage artists. You have to understand contracts. You have to understand even accounting and everything. Then you can't really want to manage something you're not even aware of. That's one other thing. To manage an artist is also part of that. It's a very chain thing. Yeah. You do this, but it's part of the art. But you're not necessarily a musician or a painter, but you contribute in this art space by
also contributing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I've just also been wondering, is this a space where I think as arts developers, is this a space where maybe we could work around getting to proffer more training to arts managers to give them more capacity strengthening so that they're able to do this better?
They can be beautiful.
Yeah.
Workshops for the artists themselves to understand money.
Yeah.
Artists, they get a gig, they make 200,000, they go buy a Jaguar.
Yeah. And they're finished.
After that, they're dead.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you should also teach them how finances work, teach the managers how finances work, and teach the managers how legal implications, any document that they sign.
Of contracts, we're
Yeah,
getting to
yeah,
very
yeah.
terrible contracts.
Yeah, terrible contract. Just because you want to be popular, you think that you want to, and then you sign a document that you shouldn't have signed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very, very important as well.
It's something to work on, yeah. Mr. Mukhonta, I'm going to take you slightly backwards where we're talking about, when you're sharing your own story, you spoke about the role that parents could potentially play either in terms of encouraging or nurturing talent within the home when one of their children is emerging as an artist, or they could totally shut that child out and discourage them and get them to go, to focus more on getting A grades and all of that. What do you feel is the role that the family plays in supporting nurturing of talent and then connecting that with the education system itself? Do you feel that our education system is doing enough to support the nurturing of talent, or children are just being driven towards becoming straight A students in the academic pathways? What's your view on this?
Okay, the misconception is that all kids at school will get A's or B's and go to university. There are so many creative kids that are discouraged. They should be actually given space to do what they are talented at. Not just if you don't make it academically, then you can't make it. Maybe we are technically minded, or we are. That is sad stuff. Maybe it's through ignorance. I don't blame our parents though. I blame the system of education inherited from the colonialists. Let me give you an example. What's the longest river in Africa?
It's got to be the Nile.
The Nile, yeah. Do you know how many cubic liters of water it carries?
That I wouldn't know.
They don't teach us that.
Yeah.
You know why?
Yeah, that's very interesting. I've never learned that in my life.
And they don't teach us that on purpose. Because they know, once we know that, we will know that we have to make a dam here, a dam there, and not there. They know that this water can water our plants and grow our things, and we are now independent of them. They don't teach us those things. They just tell you the longest river is the Nile.
And that's it.
That's it. And you write, what the question, what's the longest? The Nile, then you pass.
You get A's.
And then you get A's, and you think you're educated. Let's push it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how our people who came before us let that happen.
Yeah.
For instance, there are many lives that have been destroyed by students or children that could not do well in languages, especially English. If you fail English and you're good in maths, science, physics, whatever, your life is doomed. You're not going anywhere. You have to pass the colonial language to then pass your Form 5 or whatever. That, to me, is rubbish. Actually, I was thinking that we should organize a class shoot. We sue our government for allowing that to happen.
I can imagine
I'm saying that is a travesty of justice.
Yeah.
So many people I know, they're gods in mathematics, but they're just poor in English. And their lives were destroyed. That's very sad.
Yeah.
That's very, very sad.
Yeah. It's quite interesting you're saying this. There actually seems to be a bit of a revolution going on across the continent, where there's a generation that has found, I think, new value in African languages, in African culture, and even in our own belief systems as well as Africans right across. And what I find pretty curious is that African culture is appreciated a lot more outside Africa. You have some of our top performers, they are performing outside their countries, even outside their continent, using indigenous languages, and they're getting so much reception out there compared to back on the home soil. How do we get more artists to write poetry in vernacular? How do we get our hip hoppers to be rapping in local languages? We want to hear more Siswati rap music. We want more Kiswahili, dance hall, or you name it. How do we get to build appreciation of our own indigenous languages and culture among our creatives? What do you think needs to be done there?
In one of the workshops I attended, I rose up and spoke about that. I spoke about three things actually. I spoke about the use of English in reciting poetry, even conceptualizing the poem. You will think in English. That's also sad. And I asked this artist, why do you do that? Then they said they want to be heard internationally. And I told them, poets that I know very well are not English. They are Russian, they are Chinese, they are Lebanese.
And they perform in their own languages.
Perform in their own languages. And then it's up to the people who do not understand that language to translate it in the language that they understand. Like Khalil Gibran, for instance, a Lebanese guy. Beautiful, beautiful writer. It amazes me that we hate ourselves so much. It's just that we don't want to do creative things in our own language. The resonance of our cultural experiences, and because this thing it's in your genes. This is your great grandfather lives in you. So obviously, what you express in your language has more meaning, has more resonance than somebody expressing something in English that they don't even understand very well the language. It's sad. It makes me, those things make me really cry.
Yeah.
And another thing I spoke to them about was the wigs.
Mm-hmm.
See these wigs they wear?
Mm-hmm. From Brazil and yeah.
They don't realize that the hair women have on their heads and your hair and mine, those are antennas to universal knowledge. You receive through your hair.
I like that.
Now, if you cover your hair, what are you going to receive? That's why you see people, they don't understand nothing about nothing. Because they can't receive knowledge. Universal knowledge is all over, but they can't catch it because they've covered their hair with this Brazilian hair. I don't know what they call it. That is hating yourself. When you ask them why, they say they want to look nice. And you see now tears are coming out of my eyes.
Yeah. No,
ignorance will kill these people.
Yeah.
I don't know why they think like that.
Yeah. No, it's very true.
But it's the colonials to actually make you think if you look like a white person, one small bit, you're a better person than the one who looks like sad.
Yeah. I think really a time is just coming where Africans have to reclaim their own heritage, where we have our identity or nothing else. Apart from our identity and the people that we actually are, we absolutely have nothing else. But you bring in an interesting conversation there around the amount of self-hate that we have as Africans. We want to associate with everything else except that which belongs to us. And you see this quite a lot in our various forms of artistic expression. And it's something that really needs to be dealt with. I also have just been wondering, though, about, and I know you always talk about this as well, about how Africans are pretty much just the same, that we are all one people, right, from Cape up to Cairo. And of course, because of colonialism and all of that, you get some having been made to believe that they're better Africans than others and all of that. How do we get more collaborations between African artists? How do we get Eswatini artists collaborating with those from Malawi, from Zambia, from Ethiopia, from all sorts of places. What do you think needs to happen at that level to enhance more inter-African collaboration among creatives on the continent?
You know, I remember in the 70s and 80s when I was growing up, we never listened to West, or let me just say music from above the equator, because they said it was rubbish. When I got to listen to it in the 90s, I bought it myself. I was amazed at the beautiful sounds they play. Amazed at the beautiful. Yeah, I wish I could play some of them now.
Wow.
Like Baba Mal, I listened to those. Beautiful music. The thing is, at the time, being in Southern Africa, we were not allowed by the colonials, especially the South African thing at the time, because they are the bigger economy. Music from out there was thought to be influential in our thinking, and then we feel revolutionary, stuff like that. But now we are supposedly free. Why don't we have musical organizations that are there, maybe in Swaziland, and get together, make workshops, go up there, interact, learn from one another, and teach whether some music. You find people comparing human cigarettes, for instance, with, say, Satisfator.
Yeah.
You can't compare. This is a musical experience. It moves along seamlessly together. You just have to listen and learn from both artists. You can't then say this one is better, this one is not good enough, because you don't know. We learn. My children, for instance, they love jazz now because they listen to jazz. I expose them to jazz, and then their kids, when my kids play jazz music, they say, "Why was this?" And then now their friends they're beginning to love the jazz thing, because if you're exposed to quiet, you love quiet. If you're exposed to mapiano, you love mapiano.
Yeah.
But we're exposed to different kinds. I love all kinds of music, and it's not just one genre.
Yeah.
That also opens your mind. Music opens your mind in a way you never understand. That is why I always say to my friends, I'll never get into an argument with somebody who doesn't listen to jazz, because his mind stops. That person might kill you, because that person just doesn't think like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is something we need to, or maybe invite, like certificate, for instance, invite him to come play here, invite a Zimbabwean musician to come play here. But because they have commercialized the sound space, it is difficult to invite somebody from Nigeria to come play without having maybe 200,000 dollars, or even want our local currency, which is sad. We don't have that kind of money, so we don't play. We don't interact with them as much as we should. Which is also stupid, really.
Yeah, because we really need to interact at a level where we appreciate that our art, as Africans, we tell stories through our art. This is how all the generations are passing wisdom and knowledge to the younger generations. This is how our spirituality is also shared and interacted. So we have a level, I think, of our art we should, in my view, should not be commercialized, which should not be monetized, because this is our identity. Of course, then, as we're saying, we're trying to develop an economy from there. We're then saying, how do we take from this, and then how do we start packaging for audiences? But we need to get to a place where Africans are connecting based on our heritage, on sharing our stories, on sharing our legend, based on our creative art. It then brings me to another discussion, which is more a kind of policy level sort of discussion, where, in moving right across Africa, one of the main complaints you hear from, especially the arts industry or the arts sector, is the inefficiencies of, usually these are like national arts councils, or they could be, depends on what different governments call them, but there's usually a parastatal or a quasi-government agency that essentially coordinates or oversees the
we have that,
yeah, exactly. So one of the arguments is that in most cases these are just civil servants who are sitting there. Some of them have actually not been artists themselves, and so at times don't really have a complete appreciation, you know. So as we're speaking about the importance of Africans also being able to connect at a non-commercial sort of level, it just got me to think about the role that different governments, specifically the arts councils, can play in terms of the linkages, the connections, and you know, creating an environment for artists from different African countries to compare notes, but also to collaborate and all. What would be your thoughts on how do we strengthen national arts councils? How do we get them to become more responsive? Even governments themselves, if you look at the sort of budgets at times that are given to the arts sector, it's a pity when you compare even to other sectors of economies that are in truth maybe non-performing. What do you think needs to be done in terms of the role of the arts councils, but also even in terms of governments, African governments' budgetary support to artists in the arts sector?
It's sad, really. I don't even want to talk about our own arts council. It's really sad.
Yeah.
It's really, really sad.
Yeah.
Where do I start? I know I'm censoring myself.
Mm-hmm. No, it's fine.
I don't want to.
Okay, no, we're looking at
I
it.
don't want,
Yeah.
I'm censoring myself because the lack of appreciation from these councils. I don't know in other countries, but here there's a lack of appreciation of the very thing they're supposed to be looking after. They don't appreciate it as much as they should. They don't advocate for it to be, you know, recognized fully by our government. And that creates a situation where I was encouraging the artists at the time themselves to form their own thing and go look for their own, because this government will never give you money if they don't know, they don't even have the mechanism to measure your contribution to the economy. They don't have the measurement. They can right now. If I were to ask them, how much does the art contribute in the southern economy? They wouldn't tell me because they don't know. And there's a lot art contributes in this country, a lot. And if they knew how much art contributes, I'm sure they would do something about it. They don't. Now, I also blame the artists themselves. They need to empower themselves by forming strong organizations that will, you know, go and lobby governments, go and lobby multinationals or corporates and stuff like that to support the arts. In this country, there's a tendency to pay local artists less than South African artists. Mm-hmm. When there's a show, a gig somewhere, they call them international artists. These people are next to them. It's just us. They call them international artists, the South Africans, and they pay not even double, sometimes 3 times more than local artists. What do you expect? Yeah. Because they worship this South African. I know maybe our demographics in this country, they cannot sustain many, but there's international audiences now. There's platforms, YouTube, Facebook, all of these things you can. But the artists themselves need to be empowered somehow. Then you talk to them, they make a lot of noise, the artists, but they don't have a way forward. Now, what's the way forward? They don't know.
Yeah.
But this piece of blaming government, blaming this one, is also not really productive.
There's a sense of there's need to self-organize also among artists themselves by the different subgenres, and you have a much better voice when you're well coordinated, isn't it? And even if you're engaging and lobbying government, it's a whole lot easier to do it when artists are coming together in their own groupings and all. Yeah, I think this is critical. I want us to, as we're working towards wrapping up on our conversation, you spoke about the impacts of COVID earlier on artists and how artists lost livelihoods and things like that. Would you say things are much better now, and especially as we're looking at this year's Expo? what's your sense of where things are? Have artists made recoveries this year compared to the last 2 years of COVID? And what's going to be the emphasis of the Expo this time around?
Yeah, there is some improvement, and we hope, but it's not enough. It's really, it should be actually now, it should be flourishing now, because the regulations, the COVID regulations have been relaxed. In this Expo, I've organized some workshops for artists, workshops even for the big artists and the smaller ones. I've invited some people from Botswana, some from South Africa, and they've confirmed that I will be here to actually share their experiences with our local artists. That they learn, or maybe they also teach them something, because we learn from one another. You know. So I hope they will attend and they will we will share and take it from there. The sky is the limit. Actually, the sky is not the limit.
Yeah. Can we go further?
They go further.
Yeah. What is your promise to people who are about to sign up for the Expo for this year? Some who still haven't made up their minds, who are still sitting on the fence. What is your promise to people for the Expo in 2022?
I don't have to promise them anything. People have to promise themselves. People have, you see, this business of giving people promises. What if I don't fulfill the promises? Then people own this Expo. It's not my Expo. They cannot, they make it happen. It benefits them, it benefits the country. I can't make any promises. People should come and really make it their Expo.
Wow.
And support it. But the problem is, I don't know, maybe we are spoiled, I don't know.
Yeah.
We think somebody should give something to someone, so then it becomes, oh, make this thing happen yourself. It's our thing.
Yeah.
It's our Expo.
This is very interesting. I remember having a conversation with you at some point, and you were talking about the issue of art itself. To say, look, we are crying about markets for artists, but we are the first market ourselves. Let's go out there. Let's buy the curios from our people. Let's decorate our offices with things that are made by artists, so that we can then stand and say artists are not getting supported, but we have done our part. I'm just thinking of this based on what you're saying now, to say we are the people who make the Expo succeed. We are the first customers for these women, these rural women who are creating nice baskets, and for our artists, we should be consuming their art.
It's really sad. You go to these offices, you find paintings, especially these multinationals, there's Van Gogh, there's Picasso, we're in Switzerland, by the way. Actually, those are not even genuine Picassos or Van Gogh, those are copies. And these people, because they have them on their walls, they think they are more important than. I once asked another corporate, I won't mention the name, to take some pieces from one of my artists to hang on the wall, and we'll change them. Actually, if somebody wants to buy the piece, they'll just buy it and then we'll replace it with another piece. They refused.
Wow.
They say we don't take this. Is the quality is not up to the standard that we require. Who measures that? Who sets the standard? Just because it's made by a local, you undermine. We're not supportive. Or maybe, then I thought, ignorance will kill these people. I'm telling you. Because some of them, they don't understand nothing about art. Yet they tell you this is not up to a certain standard. So by who?
It's true. Interestingly though, you take some of our local products, they go to the Venus Biennale out there, they go in international expos, and they're winning awards, and they're being bid for serious money.
Some pieces, pieces. Europeans do not want to return them to Africa. They refuse.
Exactly.
They stole them. The stuff that you say when they stole them to say standard, they stole these pieces. They refuse to return them to Actually, they tell us, you guys don't have a place to keep them.
Yeah. But these were
Can you
where did
understand
you
that?
take them from in the first place? Yeah.
Some of these pieces are 2,000 years old. They only got them 200 years ago, and they say you can't store them. Where did they find them?
Yeah.
Because we've been storing them for 1.5 thousand years.
Them, yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. That's true.
It's an insult.
Yeah.
It's really, it's an insult.
I agree.
And we let it happen. Because actually, it shouldn't be the individual countries that are demanding that the arts now. It should be the AU. Is it an AU now?
Yeah. Yeah.
It should be the AU. Collectively, going to these countries where we know our African artists and demanding it.
Yeah.
If we're storing European art, it's the European Union that will be demanding
Oh,
that.
there will be war.
There will be war. And these people,
Yeah.
they still disrespect us, and we let them disrespect us because we are greedy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, you may find that this subject will quiet down because somebody has been given, say, 5 million euros and pounds, and then say, no, this subject will revisit at some time in the future.
Yeah.
It's just because now we need to build spaces of museums to keep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see?
But we were always keeping them.
That's bullshit. That.
Yeah, we were always keeping them. I know
Guys,
what you,
honestly,
yeah, I know what you mean.
they're insulting us, these people.
Yeah, yeah. There is a lot. I'm just picking from this. There's a lot that we need to do to encourage and support local talent, to incentivize, because local talent will also not grow for as long as we do not nurture it and give it support. And there's also a need also to be able to strike a balance when we are bringing in artists from other areas to also come and perform locally as well. Not to push the local artists to the fringes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just, I think even on issues related to remuneration. In some cases, it really is an insult, to be honest, when you hear the sort of monies that local performers are given compared to, let's say, you know, international artists and all of that. And I think there should be deliberate policy at government level to be able to I understand, you know, some are the draw cards and all of that, but let's also remember that we're trying to inspire our upcoming artists as well, and I think it's a critical part of the conversation that you also just spoke about there. I think my last question to you really in this discussion would be related to adoption of technology, you know, emerging technologies now. People are pushing their art based on social media, use of the internet and all of that. What are your reflections there? What do you think artists need to be doing, especially to be reaching out to more global, you know, sort of audiences and all of that? What do you think is the important role maybe that, you know, technology could play to support our artists to get their work out there?
I have mixed feelings about that.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. There's a guy who made a piece here, put it on the internet, and some white boy copied the exact same thing and sold it for a lot of money. The guy who created the piece got nothing. I think there must be a way, or maybe you guys are more clued up on this technology thing than me. There must be a way to create a platform and lock the art in there. I don't know how it can be done. And when you want to access that, you get a password from the artist or the organization that put it in there. Yeah. I don't know whether that's possible.
Yeah, I mean what I'm just speaking from what you're saying, there's a whole concern around intellectual property and theft of copyright and all those things. And so even as we are promoting African art on digital social spaces or any of these emerging platforms, we also need to find a way of being able to copyright and safeguard our artists' work.
Yes.
I think this is critical. Yes. Yeah, this is very critical.
So to know who has been there, so we'll trace if a piece that I made comes up in Belgium.
Yeah.
This is my thought. This is my creation.
Yeah. And interestingly, when they go in those spaces, they are quickly patented and they start owning the rights of this work. And there you are, you're a small little,
village in
African, exactly, and you're gone. I mean, I don't know how true it is. The whole story around that movie with was it the one with the Coke bottle? What was it called? The Ghost Must Be Crazy. That one, where they say one of the lead actors was actually got something like $200 or so, and yet the movie made a couple of millions and all of that. Just thinking of.
It was less than $200. I think they bought him groceries.
Oh, you see now. You see now. So so definitely, I think the issue around intellectual property that you mentioned is a good. But are there any good opportunities as well?
Yeah. They are possible. They are, but you see, I'm not clued up on these things.
Right.
But I think they are,
especially in terms of taking the work out there, marketing and all. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. No, thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation, Mr. Mukhonta. Thank you so much for taking time with us. Great conversation on the creative sector. Great conversations on the art sector. Thank you so much for coming to the Incubate podcast. We are excited to be telling the Eswatini story online. And today we've been at the Eswatini Theatre Club talking to Mr. Sibusiso Mukhonta. And thank you so very much and all the best.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Bye.